Welcome back, everyone. The House of Representatives has called on the Central Bank of Nigeria to immediately address the challenge of cash crunch in many commercial banks across the country. A call by the House is coming on the heels of the directive by Vice President Kashim Shettima to the CBN and commercial banks in the country to swiftly resolve issues of cash scarcity and arbitrary charges by point-of-sale operators. Recall that in the past few weeks, automated teller machines operated by commercial banks have been dispensing between 5,000 to 10,000 naira only, leaving many Nigerians at the mercy of point-of-sales operators. Tonight, let's speak with Dr. Ayodeji Abdurauf, financial analyst, founder, CEO, Think Startup Beyond Borders. Is also president, NAFSAT Worldwide. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Dr. Abdurauf. Good to see you again, sir.
Thank you so much. Good evening.
Good evening to you.
So I'm very sorry I'm not in bed physically.
Right. So CBN calls this matter artificial scarcity. What's your assessment of the situation on ground?
I don't know. I think every sectors of our leadership need to be put to question now. Because that become a peculiar thing that always happens towards the end of every year. If it's not fuel scarcity, it will be money scarcity. Since we face the former governor of CBN situation whereby they are holding it, this time around, who is holding it? I have the same experience in the last 2-3 weeks when the bank will be telling you go to the ATM if you want over 50 or 100, and suddenly the same machine, because they first started in the banking hall. When you go in there, they tell you can't get more than 10,000 or 20,000. Now, if you need more money, you go to your ATM and get your money. But suddenly, the whole thing has changed now. They can't give you cash in the bank, and then you can't have as much cash on your machine. I think something has to be done about leadership of every sector that we're facing. Yes. The banks, well, you can see that the CBN just passed a new policy on Forex, on FX purchase. And when that policy came up, some people were they didn't like it. And you can see suddenly the dollar dropped down to about 1,540, 1,570 in a couple of days. And the same dollar suddenly now jump up to, because there's scarcity of naira. There's scarcity of naira, and that's why we have such, people are just trying to frustrate the government policy at every point they come, every point that they come up with it in solving the masses problem. I think, like I said from the beginning, the leadership of every sector needs to be questioned. Why are you putting Nigerians in pain every time? Why must we continue to suffer at every point in time for your own end resources? Because this is what is happening. You put your money in the bank, you hand your money, you want to spend it, you can't get it.
Because interestingly, CBN gave a directive asking Nigerians to report any bank not giving out cash and in any way promoting the scarcity. But economists say the banks can only give what they have. So who is deceiving who? And I'm saying that because this morning, I was listening to Dr. Muda Yusuf on our breakfast show. He says you cannot really blame the commercial banks. He says total currency in circulation with the data available to Nigerians as far back as October was 4.5 trillion naira. Currency outside the bank is 4.3 trillion naira. This means that, can you hear me, Dr. Abdurauf? Right. Let's take a break and we'll be right back. Please stay with us, everyone. Welcome back to Politics Tonight, everyone. Our focus at this moment is artificial cash scarcity in the country. And I've been speaking with Dr. Ayodeji Abdurauf, financial analyst and CEO, founder, Think Startup Beyond Borders. Dr. Abdurauf, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you very well. Can you hear me?
Before we lost you for a second, in your earlier submission, you said the leadership of the Apex Bank must be questioned. And I was corroborating that by saying the CBN has given a directive asking Nigerians to report any bank not giving out cash and in any way promoting the scarcity. But economists have also said the banks can only give what they have. So who is deceiving who? Because this morning, I was listening to Dr. Muda Yusuf on our breakfast show. He says you cannot really blame the commercial banks. It says total currency circulation with the data available to Nigerians as far back as October was 4.5 trillion naira. Currency outside the bank is 4.3 trillion naira. This means over 95% of total currency in circulation is outside the banking system. So could this also be because Nigerians are now opting for cash as against online transaction? Please speak to these two instances and how they could have contributed to this artificial scarcity.
First, the banks, the CBN has been coming out with a lot of regulatory policies, circulars in the couple of months that the new CBN governor has been in charge. And it's affecting a lot of cash flows in our economy. You could imagine, we have some online banks, all these online banks that are just being stopped, they are regulated one, they are unregulated one, all these online banks. Some are not licensed microfinance and they are operating in the way they like online. And CBN come up with it. And they said some of them are not legalized, they have to work, they can't hold cash. That could be an indicator why some of them start holding cash, because they couldn't put cash in the bank again. Some of these small, online banks that a lot of people have an account in. And you can see that most of us now, we're at the mercy of those people that are operating POS. Where are they getting their cash? Nobody's questioning that. The bank don't have cash, but the POS guys on the road have cash, and they're charging us heavily. There must be somebody feeding them. And like I said earlier, not just CBN leadership, the leadership of the financial sector needs to be questioned. Some people have been manipulating this economy the way they like just because they want to continue to frustrate the policy of the government. Some people, policy of government that come at every point in time that is not favorable, they find a way to work around it. The POS guys are working, they're giving us money, and they're charging us heavily. Who is feeding them? Who is giving them the cash? Then the unregulated online bankers that have been operating before, that the government probably put some bans on them and said they cannot exist. Some of them are using the POS guys to operate. They're using the POS guys so now they can't take their money to bank because they are not licensed, and some of them are feeding the POS guys with this money.
Maybe we should go back to the basis. I mean, when report says the POS operators are taking charge, or rather taking advantage of the gap in the financial system, what financial gap could that be, and why has it been hard for the CBN to address that?
I think the CBN should. Some of the commercial banks have started intervening. If you check First Bank, Zenith Bank, some of them have started operating on that level too. A lot of them are using our POS for people to operate in various places. UBA, all the big banks are also trying to. And now they're trying to take over that market now. But it's actually not meant for this bank. What the regulatory authority needs to do is to put specific rules and guidance and regulation for microfinance bank and let them operate in this sector. Rather than allowing the online bankers to be using the POS. You know how many if you check the POS in the market, just like Dr. Muda said, the POS in the market today, in Nigerian market today, the online banker has large chunk of it. They have large chunk of it because their own requirements are not that tight like the normal bank. And people are just grabbing them and doing all sort of thing with us. So to me, I think it's the regulatory authority that has to just do their work. They need to bite when they need to bite. They must not just be watchdog that is not biting anybody. Since they've started with all these various circular somersaulting, who are the culprits? They are the commercial bank, the banks. And nobody is holding anybody responsible for anything. So I think, like I said at the early stage, our leadership in that sector, in the financial sector, need to be questioned.
Right. But now that it has taken the House of Reps and the Vice President to call out this free practice of commercial banks through POS operators, is this capable of addressing the issues?
Is a step, but whether it's in the right direction, that's what I can't really see. Because there's no problem that happened in this country that nobody will tell that there won't be any solution. There is. But my own is that who are these culprits? Let somebody put some of them to test and query them and send them packing from the finance sector. These people are still there frustrating the government policy. And the CBN governor is still waiting. Some people are just hand-bent in frustrating the economic policies that have been run by this current CBN leadership. So to me, get them and let's get them to be part of these things. I'll give a case in hand. Samples, for example, in the capital market. The early stage of the CEOs in Nigerian Stock Exchange. What did the guy do? Most of the capital market operators that are not up to standard, they get rid of them and just for them to clean up the market. And then the market get better. The same thing is happening in the banking sector. The CBN governor is not decisive in dealing with people. Look at this week. You see what happened with some banks managers. I will not mention banks, that they have to get to the point of being arrested by EFCC and also. These are the kind of things that are going on in the banking sector, and nobody is intervening to get this thing resolved once and for all. Let's put sanity in our financial sector. Okay. If we have sanity, I'm quite sure we'll be better for it.
I mean, you've asked the billion-dollar question, and we all await answers, and definitely will stay on this story. But let's talk about other issues. The Central Bank of Nigeria has issued fresh guidelines for interbank foreign exchange trading via the electronic foreign exchange matching system, mandating a minimum trade value of $100,000. How effective is this new guideline? Do you think this is responsible for the naira firming up in the past 7 days against the dollar at the forex markets?
You know, I've said it earlier, it's one of the factors that I've seen causing this crisis we are facing today. Because when the market forces sieve the supply of naira, then there'll be scarcity of naira. Then people with naira will be holding it. And when people with naira is holding it, people that wants to buy dollars, we have to stress to get dollars. And those crazy people that want to sell dollars at a very exploitative rate, they will get it up. That could be a factor. You know, that could be a factor. But anytime the CBN come out with a policy, they should probably test it and have proper stakeholder engagement before they come up with their policy. Because what I've seen is that CBN has been throwing balls in the market, in the forex market, without engaging the stakeholders. And there's no policy you want to push out to any stakeholder that if you don't engage them, the next thing they do is to find a way to go around that circular. And then you fail. If the stakeholders are not well engaged and the surveillance is not well done by CBN to make sure they are keeping track of what they are doing and the operators in the market are put to check, I don't think we have an headway yet.
Thank you for going there, Dr. Abdurraouf. But I'd like to ask, how far can this go in ensuring transparency, efficiency, and compliance within Nigeria's forex market in 1 minute?
The CBN is trying to do it, but the operators are the major players in the market. CBN is just to give directive. They're not banker. The operators needs to be put at check and surveillance has to be on them.
All right.
CBN is coming out with all sorts of things. Like I said, I want the CBN governor to engage the stakeholders. Let's get this thing resolved. We don't all like this mess we are putting our country to. You're a banker. You know, I've raised it in this kind of forum before. What are the banks in Nigeria doing? They should tell us. What are they doing? Are they supporting industry? Are they supporting? They're not doing anything. They only sell forex and make money, and everybody is pulling multi-billion profit out of the bank.
Sadly. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Dr. Ayodeji Abdurraouf, financial analyst, founder, CEO of Think Startup Beyond Borders, is also president of NAFSAT Worldwide. Thank you so much for your perspectives tonight. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching, everyone. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But you can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode at midnight. Get in touch with us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and X at TVC News NG and at Olajumoke WO using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Good night, everyone.